Folks, this is Ramandeep Jindal. I'm here to present the peer graded assignment for human factors in AI. Let's look into the assignment. We need to choose any problem in the field of interest, identify the key task, and then perform a basic user's task analysis, state the insights from the task analysis, explain how user will interact with the solution, explain any privacy related concerns, identify main potential sources of bias, and finally, explain how the product will meet the three goals of AI. From the problem statement, we want to find similar incidents in platform or applications and recommend solutions based on the historical data for 3 years. Now, this recommendation of fixes will be used by the site reliability engineers to solve incidents and also to work with the engineering teams to implement permanent fixes of the recurrent problems. Now, what's the key task here? We want to analyze incident data and then recommend solutions or fixes from the previous history of 3 years. And the users are site reliability engineers and the platform engineering team. Now let's look into the flow of the task. The site reliability engineer will receive incident details from the incident management system. They will read and comprehend the incident description, which will including the error, messages, logs. They will search the incident management system for similar incidents by applying filters, that is date range, keywords, etc. They will analyze and compare similar incidents. Based on the analysis, determine the appropriate solution or fixes which were previously implemented, and then communicate the recommendations to the engineering team. Now, what's the insights from this analysis? So there were multiple manual tasks which clearly will take hours to find out the recommended solutions for a particular incident. Now, by incorporating ML techniques, the task flow can be streamlined and automated, reducing the manual effort. Now let's look into how machine learning can help us here. Now, first and foremost, we can use natural language processing. Now, NLP can assist in extracting context or key information from incident description, reports, and logs. Now, this context information can be used by machine learning to automate the incident clustering. Now, this will cluster similar incidents based on their characteristics, reducing the manual effort required for searching and comparing incidents. This can also help in identifying the hidden patterns and correlations within the incident data. And finally, the model can predict potential solutions since now we know how the clusters are created and we also see the patterns. Let's look into the user experience design. Now, the users will interact with the proposed AI solution through a user interface. Now, this user interface will allow users to input the incident data, search for similar incidents, and view the recommended solution. Now, what does this design look like at a very high level? So, from the user's input standpoint, we want to provide an intuitive and user-friendly interface. Now, this interface will also allow the users to read the effectiveness of the solution. From the model transparency standpoint, we want to provide clear explanations of how the recommendations were generated, also provide visibility of the data sources to the users, and display the performance metrics like accuracy or recall. To make sure that we communicate the uncertainty, we want to indicate the confidence level of the recommendation. So when we provide a recommendation to the user, along with the recommendation, we'll provide the confidence level. High level of confidence level means we are almost near to the accuracy. We also want to display the disclaimer or messages to remind users that the recommendations are based on historical data and their own judgment should always be considered along with the model. So this is like an augmentation to the user experience and decision making. From the privacy related concern standpoint, we have multiple concerns. First and foremost is data protection of the PII of the individuals, which are employees or customers. Second is we want to obtain a proper consent and ensure the data is used only for the intended purpose. Third, we want to minimize the collection and storage of the data only for the intended purpose again. Next, we want to implement robust security measures to protect the data, which may include encryption, access control, security audits, etc. And last and foremost, compliance with the privacy policies and applicable laws. Now, what are the applicable laws here? GDPR for the individuals in the European Union, CCPA for individuals in California, or largely the US states. Workers' Council in Germany, this plays a significant role in protecting employees' rights and privacy. All in all, I'll just sum this up saying it's very, very crucial to consult with legal experts to determine specific obligations and requirements based on applicable privacy laws and laws of the land. From the ethical consideration standpoint, let's look into the bias, so potential sources of bias. Historical bias. Now, this is the bias which originates if incident data is biased on or reflects historical inequalities or disparities. Representation bias originates if incident data is not diverse or does not adequately represent the various incidents from platforms and applications. ML algorithms themselves can introduce algorithmic bias if they are trained on biased data or if the features considered are biased themselves. Now, in many cases, we have seen the user's bias can also lead to an impact on the accuracy and fairness of the recommendations. Finally, how are we meeting goals of an ethical AI? First and foremost, from fairness standpoint, we want to ensure diverse and representative training data for the AI system, which will help in mitigating biases, regularly evaluate the audit for biases, and take steps to mitigate and rectify the issues. From accountability standpoint, we want to establish clear accountability mechanisms. We want to document the sources of data, pre-processing steps, the testing steps, the for the training, etc. From the transparency standpoint, we want to be transparent about AI systems functioning with the users, explain how similarity matching is happening, which features are being considered, provide explainability of the AI recommendations, and finally, we want to communicate the limitations and uncertainties, which is going to be highly, highly critical. Now, this brings us to the end of the presentation. Thank you for listening and goodbye.